What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and this one I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. And break down what's going on with the news affecting Tesla and Elon Musk and what's happening with the charts thus far. But before I break down all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and this offer ends in just a couple of weeks. Anyways, now let's break down what's going on with the markets. Looking at Tesla, this is actually looking very, very interesting. We saw Tesla actually drop quite a bit today. It was underperforming relative to the market again. And a lot of this had to do with some negative news that came out. I'm continuing to see some bad news, and this has led Tesla to just looking relatively weak. Now, although Tesla's looking weak, we are approaching a very, very important support right now. I'm going to break down what that support is and why this is going to be very important for the rest of the day. But first, let's talk about some data and then also the news involving Elon Musk. So when it comes to the data, we actually got the economic optimism report. This was at 44.7, above expectations, and this helps the market start to push up even higher. This is why the market ended up getting a nice pump, or at least this is just like one reason that these institutions, these players ended up using to pump the markets right back up again. So this helped the market push up. This played a role in causing that. The market got a nice push up once this came out. Now it's still trying to hold up, and things are looking very interesting. We had Barr from the Fed giving a speech as well. He just finished, very, very mixed tone. And besides that, everything else is close to expectations when it comes to data. So there's more news coming out involving Tesla. Unfortunately, this is still making the headlines. Tesla lowers its range estimates as the U.S. regulators tighten vehicle test rules. This just came out today, this headline, even though this news is like kind of old. It came out yesterday. This is still making headlines a little bit negative for Tesla. This news could also have a ripple effect into like the next day or so. So that's why, like, even though it came out like yesterday, it's still affecting Tesla to some extent. But on top of that, there's even more news coming out about Elon Musk, which is having a more, I would say, impactful uh, effect on Tesla. So the news is basically coming out that Elon Musk says that he wasn't doing certain things during all the chaos that was going on at the SpaceX event. He's saying this in regards to and also in response to all of the allegations coming out. But there are other headlines coming out saying that the accusations are hurting Elon Musk's leadership, and the SpaceX and Tesla board members are now having meetings. They're concerned about what Musk could have been doing. I'm not saying he did or didn't. I'm just saying that this is not good news. We don't know if there's going to be anything that happens to Musk. This could once again just get into like really escalate and lead to something very, very concerning. It is a possibility now. We're starting to see the Tesla board get involved, the SpaceX board as well, and we will see what happens. Hopefully, things are okay as time goes on. But right now, any piece of news like that is negative for a company. If this was like Apple or any company, and there's like suspicions that the CEO Tim Cook or any other CEO is doing something like that, and the board is having meetings about that, that is some negative stuff, and that's part of why Tesla's selling off. That's playing one role. Tesla's also been relatively weak ever since it got its deliveries report. So it is what it is, guys, but we're just going to be watching the chart carefully now, break down some of these levels. Now, looking at Tesla yesterday, it was primed for a potential balance trying to push up, but with all these bad pieces of news involving Elon Musk, the Tesla board, other factors, other negative headlines, and the relative weakness Tesla has, it ended up failing to get the bounce and broke below critical support. But now we're going to be watching another support, which is going to be very important. So I'm going to talk about that from here on out. All right, so Tesla right now is kind of sideways. It's kind of trading sideways in the 234s. But here's the thing, there's a big but. On the 4-hour time frame, we're getting very close to bearish cross in the PPO, but it's still a little sideways. And the most important support is going to be the level I keep calling out, 234 on Tesla. This is where our daily 200 EMA happens to be. We're going to be watching to see if Tesla could hold this. It did break below it temporarily, but it got bought back up. So let's see if this closes above 234 or not. Let's hope Tesla gets a decent close, because if it loses this, if we close below this, there's going to be an even higher probability of this actually continuing to break below this, which would lead to even more downside. So let's hope we get a decent close. Let's hope that we try to remain above the 200 EMA, because I don't want to see a big drop on Tesla. But if it happens, it is what it is, guys. We just have to accept it as the reality of the situation. So what are some levels to watch for on Tesla? Let's go over them. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. So Tesla has resistance developing just under 236. If we actually break above that, there's 238, that zone up there. Then we have this imbalance very close to 240. Then we have 242 and 244 as resistance. For support, make sure you continue to watch 234 very carefully. The reason why that's important is because we had this yellow trend line I drew out. This was our previous resistance right over here, and now this is going to be acting as supports for Tesla. If we lose that, 232 is our next support, followed by 230. But 232 is not that strong. The only reason why we bounced off that is because the buyers want to defend 234. 234 is going to be the area of interest to be watching for. Watch and see where Tesla closes. Do we close above 234 or not? If it goes below this, the bears will have a bigger edge. If we close above this, there's still some hope of Tesla holding up. So watch this carefully. Tesla is looking weak overall, but watch that critical support where this yellow trend line is, and the 200 EMA on the daily adds 234. That's going to be key for Tesla. For SPY, now SPY was dropping, right? SPY was dropping, but I told everyone, hold on, guys. Be patient. There's a possibility this thing might bounce. I even talked about a bounce yesterday. I told you we might gap down and try to bounce, but I told you to be very careful with your levels. What happened to SPY? It came down. I told you do not turn too bearish. We have to watch and see if this thing loses 470 to turn bearish. 471 as well. What happened? We bounced off 471. We got a nice bounce, and this thing is starting to push back up. We're currently very flat right now. We're still testing the resistance from yesterday. This thing is still showing some life. We'll be watching to see if this thing could continue as time goes on. I predicted that SPY would hold up like this, approaching CPI. We're getting very close to CPI, so far so good. This kind of resembles a cup and handle, but I'm not going to be too worried about that. What are some resistance levels to watch for? Basically, this thing is pushing right now. There's a lot of resistance between 474 and 475. So right here, we have tight critical resistance at 475. We're going to be watching to see if we can try to break that. Very close to this range here. Let me actually draw out a little range just to show you. Very close to 475. And then we have supports right now at 474 and also around 472.93, followed by 472. In my honest opinion, I think that SPY is just be choppy for the rest of the day. We're going to be looking for another maybe boring day tomorrow, since it's the last day before CPI. But the real big move is going to come after CPI. It's going to determine if this thing pushes more or not, at least later on going into Thursday. So I'll be watching for that. As of right now, it's kind of trading sideways in the 474s. I think it's going to likely continue to do so as time goes on. It may close very close to where we are, so just be very careful and be very patient with this. The last hour might not be super entertaining. On the QQQ, we're seeing something very similar developing. It came down, and then this thing ended up breaking out above the high. I told you, if you want to be bearish on the QQQ, we need to see it come all the way down and break this support at 400 and 399. If we lost that, I could have turned more bearish. But we didn't actually lose that. We got bought right back up above 402, started pushing above 404. And I told you, hey, we did that. We're back above our resistance. 406 was the level I called out yesterday. We're back up there. So watch and see if we can close above 406. We'll be in a decent place. I also want to note that on the QQQ, we have a gap that's above. So could we push even higher, try to fill that gap? I think we have a gap close to 409. We're basically testing the gap resistance right under the gap. So it is possible this tries to push up higher right before CPI, but we'll have to wait and see first. QQQ is still showing some strength. Why is the QQQ showing strength? Because Nvda ended up blasting even higher than expected. I've been talking about the 530s on Nvda, but this thing's already at 540. Nvda is a monster. At this point, as this thing is just continuing to soar, I drew out a lot of resistance levels. We have more coming up. I actually did not pay that much attention to this recently. So you'll be looking at wicks like this. See, this previous support becoming resistance was this 533 area of interest. Besides that, I would say that this 540 area is a psychological level, and then I'll be watching just like the other resistance levels above that, right? You have like 545 as one level from a psychological standpoint, but then another important one is going to be 550. These are two very important levels. Just watch them from a psychological basis as this thing's breaking all-time highs now. We don't really have historical data to go based off of, but I think that those are going to be very important levels as this thing continues to push and helps the markets push upwards. Now, the thing about Nvidia is it's not going to soar forever, so be careful with it. If you're playing it, it's always okay to secure profits, but for now it is looking bullish. Going to be looking to see if this thing can break out. We also have some resistance right here. I actually wanted to mention this just under 542. If it breaks above this, it could get closer to 545, right? And above 545, I mean, I don't think it's going to stop, and it's going to likely get closer to 550 from there. So Nvidia is still looking strong, guys. This is helping the QQQ in the market push up. Could keep pushing. I want to see if it could break 542. And finally, for Apple stock, this thing pushed up very nicely, hitting 185, came back down. I told you if you want to turn bearish on this thing, you want to see this thing lose 183. Did we lose 183? No, we actually came below it and bounced. Now we're back in our little resistance. We're hovering around the 184s. Watch support around 184. Watch resistance at 185. We're going back and forth and back and forth. Might try to hold up. Overall, Apple's holding up and might remain range bound for some time, but it does have potential to push up higher as we have a cup and handle like formation. So we'll see. If we lose 183, we're going to turn back to bearish. We haven't done so yet, and there is still potential for this to push up. So that being said, guys, I went over the main ones so far. On Tesla, unfortunately, there was some bad news that came out involving Elon Musk. So we're going to be watching how does Tesla close. Can we get a decent close on Tesla? Can we try to hold above 234? That's all I care about right now. It is trying to hold up. So watch it very, very carefully. Let's see how Tesla does. Thank you all so much for listening. Have a great day, guys. I'll see you guys very, very soon again. Thank you and peace out.